Folks, we are live. I am without my usual first and third party assistant, Glen Houston. Glen will be here the moment he gets home. As a good true friend, I told him, Glen, vacate your bladder before you log in. In any case, this is Dungeons, Dragons, and Discourse. Now, before I settled in for the live stream, and I've been participating with the folks in chat as we were getting ready to do this. Found out that we've had some flooding in our basement, and it's at the front of the house. And of course, that's the part of the basement where, when my son moved in with us full time 14 years ago, I had to do a mass removing of my gaming and comic book collection. Which, when you're, apartment by yourself, no big deal. On the second floor here in a two-family home, I had to give a bedroom to Chris. It couldn't just be a storage for my shit. So things got placed in the basement. It started leaking, and it started leaking bad. So I've been spending this week going through boxes of comics, trying to salvage what I could, and then found today one of those boxes wasn't comics; it was gaming material. So, this hurt because I had to get rid of Battlelords of the 23rd Century. I had a full collection of, I'm not sure what edition it is, but we played this in 96, 97, right before I graduated the police academy. And those weren't salvageable. They weren't water damaged, but they got crushed by other boxes, I guess, shifting. So the binding, it's when you've got paperback RPGs and the cover is like creased. Yeah, it was depressing. But I did find that my 2E Dark Sun all appears to have survived because those boxes can get crushed, but it doesn't damage the inside contents, the old flip books. Here we go. Here's Glen. Hello, Glen.
Hi.
Sorry, Glen. We were going to time out, so I figured let me hop in and get us started.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. I just don't know why my earbuds aren't working.
All right.
Probably paired to the wrong device.
Okay. Well, we're not getting feedback. At least that's a positive sign.
Good. And I hope it stays that way because I got no other recourse.
That's okay. Well, I was telling the horror story. I've been spending. I don't spend more than 15 minutes going through my comic books that have been potentially water damaged, my RPGs that were in the basement. Oh man, it is depressing. My RuneQuest 2 book, not damaged.
Really?
Yeah, slight warp, I think, from other stuff shifting. Because this is, but my Dark Sun 2E boxes are fine. Battlelords of the 23rd Century was, I don't know. They were when you have an RPG and the binding is kind of cracked, you can't keep them. So, Call of Cthulhu 5th edition, that one might survive if I can put like 100 pounds of books on top for a couple of weeks.
That
might straighten out. My Gru collection, my Gru comic books seem to have survived. They were properly bagged. But man, there's just a lot of stuff where I'm just going, I can't even, worry about keeping it. I just gotta chuck it. So I still have some more to go through. So it's been that kind of a week where you just don't want to even address it. But so Glen, what we usually start out with this week in gaming? What have you been doing in gaming?
Nothing. I've been snowed in.
Oh, geez. Okay.
So I was just working I was working on an art commission for Luau Lu
Nice.
and tending to my side business. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been
Hey,
lucky
Doc.
that
Nice to see you.
yeah,
Yeah, sort of.
I've been lucky that we've been getting the Monday night group took a hiatus for the holidays, but now we're back in full
Did it?
swing. And yeah, so Rob
How'd
Conley's
that
been running
go?
on Mondays. It's great, and
How's that going?
it's great. It's been going great. It's been nice. Rob's a great DM, but he is a detailed DM. He can improv, but he has
Oh, yeah.
all that he needs for improving. I will improv because I'm just making shit up. He'll improv because he has everything already written down somewhere. We're basically play testing an adventure that he's going to probably publish. So
That's not improving. That's not ad libbing.
it is.
You got to fly by the seat of your pants. You got to fly by the seat of your pants.
I can do that. Well, listen, with the group of players that he has, he's got Greg Christopher, um,
You,
myself, yeah, Joe the lawyer. Uh, was it V Zawicki from our Discord server? So you
uh-huh.
have people that can really push the envelope a bit. Sometimes depending on what we're playing, we can have Matt Jackson and Tim Shorts as part of the group, and Jeff
Wow.
Jones. So you have creators. Trust me, even if you have things planned out, we're gonna make you fucking improv because we're gonna make you got to be a good DM and be strong to handle that. But it's good. We've been rotating. Somebody
Look,
takes like 3 or 4 weeks, and then
here,
somebody else pops up.
here's the way it's supposed to go. You got your stuff, you got your prep, you know where the story's going, and you're 99% there. If you know if you know what's happening and you know where the story's going, even if they go off, even if they go off on their own, you can figure out where it's going. That's all you need. You know your
Yeah,
NPCs, you know your situation, you know your monsters, and you know the area. Do it.
I said, Rob's got you're given the opportunity to go in like multiple directions. You're not put into like a railroad. You're like, oh shit, I got like 3 or 4 different things, and they're all important. And then you got to go, all right, which ones are time sensitive? What can we? Oh well, this one isn't as time sensitive, but I've taken an oath to accomplish this. Oh shit! So the oath one is not time sensitive, but needs to get done, and we've already played part of our hand, so they know we're coming. But now we got to rescue. Oh Jesus! That's the fun stuff. That's that's exciting to me as a player. So
Yeah,
it's
I
been good
know.
fun.
In the Monday game, Carlos has got several irons in the fire. I mean, we got to do this one. We're in Sharn right now in
Okay.
Eberron, and we got to do this job for this guy. But then I got Sil, my secretary, at the home base on the talk stone in my ear, telling me, "Well, we got another client here." It's like I'm like 2 days away. I can't make it.
There you
I
go.
got to do this first. You know, so stuff happens.
Shadzar, I understand the idea of having put things in plastic. Long story short, um, when I inherited my son, it's because his mother passed. It was oh shit! Instead of having him occasionally on the weekends or steadily on the weekends, I'm gonna have him 7 days a week. I need to make space, dude. I actually threw out the Encyclopedia Magica. I was clear. I was no. I wasn't gaming at the time, so I threw out a lot of stuff and other stuff got put in the basement as quick as possible because you're doing stuff to make accommodations for emergency life changes. If I was doing stuff now, oh my god, totally different, totally different. But back then, I will say again, I found my RuneQuest second edition hardcover, which made
Good.
me really, really smile because I am getting into RuneQuest right now, and the latest edition, which is pretty comparable, pretty compatible with the 2E rules that I played. So
I've never played it. I've never even looked at RuneQuest.
well,
But
what's
I played enough Call of Cthulhu to know what the system is. So
right? You know the system that
yeah.
RuneQuest with the Glorantha setting is something that's very special, especially if you get. I have to look at the new supplements in Glorantha. I don't know if they have the same depiction of slavery or having
Mhm.
humans as cattle that are used for their meat. But these are non-intelligent humans. These are animal intelligent humans because that's what the gods cursed these certain human tribes to be. So they are basically cattle. I don't know if that has stayed in the latest Glorantha because, as we've seen with Pathfinder, slavery is a verboten topic in RPGs. So I don't know if Chaosium has removed that
Must be
from.
hard to run the Slavers series.
Yeah, it certainly would be. I think Wizards of the Coast just published that a couple of years ago, right? Like in the hardcover, they reprinted it and they added in what
Version of the Slave
A0.
Lords. Yeah.
Yeah, they republished the four 1 through 4, and they added in I think A0, like an introduction to put it all together. Yeah,
Shadzar
Bard,
BS.
Bard,
It is
Bard,
that.
the real, Bard is a real fucking class. It's not a primary class. It's not one that you're going to take in a 4-person party. But if you have 6 or 7 people playing and everything's covered, the Bard's your jack of all trades. I am not saying he's viable in a small party, but hey, DDO, I had a great time playing a Bard because that thing could be tripped out for solo. Easy. The wiki, you know what? I was just mentioning our Monday night games that we've been playing in, and how we've been pushing Rob to his game master limits. No, we've been doing really good as a group, and Rob's been doing amazingly good as a GM. So it's been a lot of fun.
I was thinking about bad guys today.
Uh
Bad guys,
do
BBEGs, or
mm-hmm.
small ones. I saw an interesting YouTube video on. I watch like movie reviews, old movie reviews, and other things like that because I'm into movies, and there's a lot of Disney ones out there. And somebody was reviewing the old Disney Robin Hood, the
Right.
cartoon,
Uh-huh.
and they mentioned something interesting about Prince John. He's an idiot, but he's a very conniving idiot. In other words, he can still be he's kind of he's got he's kind of a buffoon, but he's still a threat because he does come up with these plans to try and catch him, and some of them work. So it's like, have you ever had a bad guy where it's like you can't really quite take him seriously, but take him seriously enough where you've got to watch your back, type of thing?
Right. Not necessarily they're not highly intelligent, but they still have that evil cunning behind them that they can still be be a danger. I mean, my problem
Yeah.
with big bad evil guys, and I like using them. Don't get me wrong, and they're great for
Mhm.
short story arcs. But if you want one that's going to last your campaign, your players should never interact with them. It should never be somebody they're going to go into combat with. It should be that character behind the scenes because the moment your players can combat or get into any kind of actual physical confrontation with your big bad evil guy, your BBEG,
Uh,
you get 2 results.
Doc says
Yeah.
I'm going to run a game of Dungeon Crawl and pull everything out of thin air. Doc, you do that. You do that anyway. I've played with you before. Of course, it was Toon, but
Oh, no,
still,
the tune is all right.
he runs a hell of a Toon game. Let me tell you.
But
You
the
know.
problem with actually having your players interact with your big bad evil guy too soon,
Mhm.
you can have either a TPK because let's be honest, most parties are going to fight someone like that even if they're not ready, and retreat is not really. I know we like to say old school gaming. Your players need to know when to run. They might know, they just don't do it. Or the other issue is they're going to kill your big bad evil guy, and now you got to pull something out of your ass to either say that wasn't him, it was a simulacrum. Oh no, that was just an illusion, or he wasn't really the real big bad evil guy is behind the scenes. He was just a front for the big bad evil guy. So it's always
I,
best, in my opinion, to leave him off the screen initially.
Doc, you know what? I actually managed to make that work where they killed off the big bad evil guy, like in the middle of the game. And it was 2 years ago at North Texas. I was running Mutant Future, and it was sort of that's the one that took place down in Louisiana, and it sort of developed into kind of a post-apocalyptic island of Dr. Moreau. And I had the big bad evil guy be this doctor who was like, experimenting on animals and all the, other things. And
Right.
but they ended up killing him in the middle of it. But he had all these followers and people who worked for him. So they killed him. The followers saw it and says, they killed our boss. Get him. And they got into a hell of a chase in the swamp. It was a lot of fun. And it's like, I had a map of the swamp here. It was one of those fold-up maps from Pathfinder.
Right.
And it's like they'd round a corner on their swamp buggy and they come after him with it like a speedboat. And then they'd do something to take care of them. And then round another corner, there's another, set of minions there with another speedboat. They kept getting dogged by them until they finally ran out of minions. It was great. We had a hell of a good time.
It's all about how you, again, Nick, you're using the minions. And that's the great thing about games like D&D. You can judge the what cannon fodder can I throw out there that's going to keep my players off kilter, but not be a significant threat.
Mm-hmm.
So and once you know a system, like a level system that's easy to judge, something like Call of Cthulhu or RuneQuest, which is percentile based, skill based. It's an easier game and a harder game at the same time because you can throw almost anything at your players, and if the dice are lucky or if they play it well, they can turn the tide. But at the same time, the balancing is not as easy as balancing like, oh, I got to balance this for a party of 3rd to 5th level players. Okay, that's easy. I can do that in my head. Oh, how do I balance this for a RuneQuest party? It's totally, or what will not kill my Call of Cthulhu players characters right away.
That's the challenge. That is a challenge.
So, by the way, Shadzar has mentioned that Wizards of the Coast got themselves a new president after, I'm going to be juvenile, after Chris Cox got promoted to running on that. Yep. So, and I'm going to make, I'm not going to read the full article. It is over at N-World. I'll show it real quick.
Well, she's supposed to be, I don't know. I haven't heard. Her.
Yes.
I haven't heard any word about, one way or the other, is she going to be another, I don't want to see another Lorraine Williams in there.
Well, here's the thing. Cynthia Williams, no relation as far as I know, although Shadzar is claiming that they're distant cousins. Who knows? She worked for Microsoft. She was heavily involved in Xbox and the gaming ecosystem. So, gaming ecosystem, right? It was like all the games, right? I guess the Xbox
right.
Subscription service. So I can almost guarantee you, all right? And I'm not gonna say you heard it here first because I said this before. Wizards of the Coast is going to be offering their own VTT. They're going to integrate it with their own material. Maybe they'll throw us a bone and make things that you can run with like prior editions of AD&D. I don't know, but she is being brought in, I suspect, to spearhead that. Now, I don't know because it kind of gets lost in the article, but they also brought in Tim Fields as senior vice president. Tim
Mm.
Fields apparently is a lifelong gamer. So whereas we're being brought in an executive that is from the business world, Mr. Fields is I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering since I was a child. So
Okay.
maybe he's going to be the one that will allow the business side, the corporate side, and the gamer side to interact. He's obviously being brought in to help her bridge because she doesn't seem to have experience with D&D or Magic the Gathering, but she
Mm.
understands on-demand product. Okay, she understands the online store and downloading your game. So if you want to know where the future of D&D is going as Hasbro sees it, look who they just put there right now. That's somebody that's going to be certainly focusing on online aspects, online gameplay, and that's
Mm.
a subscription service. Again, that's something that she was, I'm sure, in charge of over at Xbox. The subscription service, a subscription service brings you in constant money, and they failed to give that with Fori. But I suspect before we see the soft relaunch of 5e, whenever they update the books and they make them all look spiffy, uh,
Mhm.
I suspect we're going to get the launch of the VTT and their own material. D&D Beyond maybe getting bought out by Wizards of the Coast. I'm spinning plates on this one, folks. I don't have
Yeah,
inside
because I
information.
said, are they just buying that, or are they buying one bookshelf?
Well, One Bookshelf and D&D Beyond are different companies. And
Oh,
One
I'm
Bookshelf,
thinking of the DM's Guild. Sorry.
yeah. Now DM, you know what? See the DM's Guild. Remember, you can't buy the core books. You can't buy Wizards of the Coast produced material there, right? If they put out an adventure, you're not finding it on the DM's Guild. You are finding it, however, on.
No, I have copies on PDF.
I'm not saying you don't, but it's on. Oh, hi, Sadie.
Oodalali.
You're gonna poke your head in. Yeah. Um, you're gonna get it on D&D Beyond, or you're gonna get it in paper. I suspect she will want to have more control over that income. You know, that's her expertise. So
Hey, it's her gig. We'll see what happens. She might be good, she might be bad. You never know.
yeah, you never know. Now, what's interesting though is with Cox, you just put your head up against me. How come you're hissing at me? She's like, I'm gonna lean in. Hiss. You're talking to somebody. It's not me. I'm not happy.
Well, I'm just hoping she's not another Kathleen. She's not another Kathleen Kennedy.
Oh, geez. Well,
So
that would be a horror, and we could
yeah.
we could even talk briefly about the Mandalorian. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the Book of Boba Fett, which has become the Mandalorian latest season, because I think Boba Fett's been on for like 2 minutes in the last two episodes. But listen, Boba Fett was um before the Mandalorian stuff came into the storyline. Boba Fett was like a, I don't know, 5.5, 6 out of 10. Then the Mandalorian stuff brought it up to like a 7.5, and I expect it's gonna crap out at the end. But I want to like it. Can't much. Sorry. It could be. It
Oh
could be
well.
better. It could be better. But I mean,
Oh well.
interesting times. I'm trying to catch up on all your chat out here, folks. Welcome to the Randomverse, where the entire game will be pretty much randomly generated. Who knows what interesting adventures the PCs will get up to? We'll find out together. You know who does
Yeah,
that?
that's a doc game.
Yep. But you know who really does that? And
Who?
Bill Webb.
Bill?
Oh yeah,
Bill
Bill
Webb.
Webb. Bill Webb will literally right before he's gonna run the game. As he's walking into the room, he'll be thinking, "All right, uh, key phrase that gets him going," and then boom, you get this dungeon going or this adventure going, and you're like, "What the fuck?" And he keeps it, no notes, no anything. Uh, he's walking in the middle of the room with with the table surrounding him, with the D20 almost the size of his head. Uh, it's amazing to watch. People, certain people take running games to a different level, and Bill Webb
I
is
haven't
one of them.
seen him do that, but I have watched Matt Finch in a big room. So
Well, Matt Finch has the adventure, I believe, right now because he runs Mythos. Was it
Mithras
Mythos
Tower.
Tower? And
Mithras Tower.
it's amazing to watch how that gets run because he'll stand on tables.
Yeah, I know.
And
Gage is
there's
in it. He played.
yeah, and he'll stand on the table.
Gage is just thrilled. I mean, this year he wants to get back to that. He wants to play it again. But yeah, I've seen his shtick where he's like, well, he's short anyway. They got to see him, you know?
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, listen, when I DM at a convention, I don't sit. I can't sit. And the reason why I can't sit, um, I need to interact with all my players at the table, and I do that by walking around. And if I'm sitting at your height, it's one thing if we're playing at somebody's house. I understand that. But
Mm-hmm.
at a convention, I don't have necessarily the connection to all my players that I might have in an established group. So I need to be able to get up and make eye contact and say, "You, what are you doing?" and "You, what are you doing?" and go around like and doing that. And it's easier when I stand up. Also, if I stand up, that's another seat I can give to a player who wants to jump in. It's like, "Oh, you're next seat." Invariably, I get asked that question. It's like, "Yeah, you got my seat." You know, I need a corner of the table, or in some setups where they have like a. Sometimes you're lucky you have like another table next to you, and it's empty.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take the empty table for my dice rolling. But
You
I
know,
can't sit.
3 or 4 years ago, I tried walking around, and I still walk around to a certain extent because, I can walk around so much, but then my legs and knees start hurting, and then I got to sit down. But I like to walk around too. And like 3 or 4 years ago at North Texas, I ran that Rule Cyclopedia Beckme game,
Right.
and I fell on my face because Full On Gamer's son left his backpack in the middle of the aisle, and I didn't see it. I was so concerned
Oh,
with trying to get everybody, you know, situated and running the game. I just like face planted, boom, scared the hell out of Frank Mincer.
oh, sure. I was scared the
Well,
hell
he
out of everybody.
remembers. Well, he remembers my accident in the hotel room in the shower, falling down.
I think most
So
of us that were around for that one remember that story.
yeah, yep. So hey, but
And
yeah, I'd love to walk around when I can.
we're including sound effects.
Nice.
Actually, watch me video, Glenn.
And
It will explain everything you need to know about her. We are entering the dark, darkest timeline. Uh-oh.
again, first Lorraine, now this.
I don't,
Oh well, it's like 5e doesn't concern me anyway.
Shatar, you
So
know what? I don't
you know what I'm
see,
saying?
yeah, I know. But I don't see them necessarily stopping support for Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds or any of the other systems that they've been licensing to. They don't need to stop supporting them as long as they have their own system too. Or just as likely, they will make a cash offer for Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds or one of the up and coming VTTs and go from there. Wizards of the Coast history of designing their own VTT from scratch is not a good one.
I remember that.
You know, one homicide and one common law spouse going to jail.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, it's they're probably better off having somebody outside the company, at least having started it. And
Well, that was the weird days of 4E too. So
oh, chances are like those companies have nothing without 5e. 5e. Listen, let's be honest. All the VTTs are surviving because of 5e. I don't. I'm not saying that because I like 5e.
not Pathfinder.
No, it's not Pathfinders. Well, it depends on who you talk to. The Pathfinder army will tell you it's Pathfinder that's driving it, but Pathfinder has, by and large, fallen to the wayside. The OSR has never been larger than a pimple on the ass of Wizards of the Coast as
Hasbro.
far as they're concerned. Um, do we influence to some extent some aspects of 5e? Sure, but that influence is not, it's not deep, and it's certainly not a game that I would look at and say, "Oh, well, that's old school gaming to me." It's not. Just like
Mhm.
Giant Land is not old school gaming to me. Well, you can put it in a smaller box.
Hey, I
Uh,
missed I missed your tavern chats on that.
oh,
What's the consensus on that?
well, hold on a second, Glenn. Just gonna ward off evil before I talk. Um, so we had Skeeter and Bad Mike designing characters, rolling up characters,
Uh-huh.
and we didn't quite finish it before Skeeter said, "Listen, can we just end this shit?" I went, "What?" I need to end this shit. I can't do anymore because there are concepts that are they talk about, but they don't really explain in that first book, which makes it awkward for you to roll characters if you don't really know what or design a character or make a choice. Oh, choose a sigil. Well, but you're not really telling me what long term effect it has. The write up is small, so it is. The general consensus is it, to our we're going to call Skeeter a game designer. I'm a minor game designer. Bad Mike has
Yes,
written adventures. Uh, we're looking
you've
at
written
this,
a couple things.
yeah, but we're looking at this and we're saying, all right, the way it looks like Jim Ward was brought in to turn coal into a diamond. Okay, and it is very much an uncut diamond. That's the best way I could put it. It does it have potential? It could, but the system is very unwieldy, and it's somebody's fantasy heartbreaker. We've been talking about, oh, it's another fantasy heartbreaker. When you have to design a system from the ground up, when you have
Hmm.
OGL systems out there, um, and you're also this default setting, which is very different than everybody expects. And on the cover of the book, it says with mask, so like you're supposed to be using a mask in play. Um, but you don't
Put
sell
on my
masks.
COVID mask. Okay.
Well, there you go. But here's the thing, too. When you think about it, if you're going to suggest that masks should be part of play, then wouldn't you think you would sell the masks or items that could be used to make masks on your website? It's an easy marketing thing to get your community involved, and they didn't do that. So that to me is a marketing uh, fail. So we shall see how that goes. Um, will it get a following? Listen, every game gets a following. You got Jim Ward. You got uh, the artwork. Larry Elmore. That's fine, but Larry Elmore's art doesn't make a game better. It makes it more attractive, but it doesn't make it better. Um, But one of the things that I pointed out is that the first ability that you have, the first chart for it, lists two modifiers, and as you go down the chart, and one modifier is cumulative, so it's +5 at 25 and +10 at 50. So it actually is +15 at 50 because it's cumulative. But then you have another modifier that says it isn't cumulative, and it is what it. Choose one method or the other. especially in the same damn chart. Don't have so just
I'm getting flashbacks from
well,
SBI's universe.
okay. Needlessly
Hour and a
complicated.
half, hour and a half to create a character.
Yeah, I'm not saying it is on quite that level, but it's certainly your your armor, your weapons are randomly determined.
You're kidding.
So no, I'm not kidding you. So
Wow.
and your we never even got to the point where you had like you have powers that are based upon like your character class, but you
Mhm.
roll at each level to see which one you get. And it doesn't say what to do if you've already rolled something. Is it cumulative? Is it used multiple times per day? So these are little gaps in as I don't want to say professional gamers, but experienced gamers who are used to trying to break a system. It's what we tend to do. We push things to the edge. I'm
You
seeing
have to.
things, reading through the book, going, "Oh, there's a problem with this. There's a problem with that." So um, now they're saying that this is a limited print run. After these copies are sold, it's not going to be offered as a box set again. I guess it's going to be a book. But here's the issue:
That could be a
there's
good thing.
three, there's 3,000 boxes. That was the print run.
Wow.
They
Wow.
only sold like 78 copies on Kickstarter. So I don't know if there's going to be a second print because these first print boxes are going to be out there for a while. And people are going, oh, well, they could be collector's items. There's 3,000 of them. They're not going to be a collector's item. To
Nope.
put that in perspective,
Well,
I believe Dungeon Crawl, the board game that's coming out from TSR, is
mhm.
300 copies. And it's selling for $50 as opposed to 130. So, no. Uh,
So Dungeon Crawl. Well, Giant Lands. I figured. Well, it was a nice try, fellers. You know. But Dungeon Crawl, is that just a reworking of the
no,
Dungeon board game?
no, it's a new game. I actually had an email interview with the original creator, Don Samora. Don had pretty much designed this game, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, and basically needed a publisher. Got into contact with TSR, or they contacted him. I'm not quite sure, and they purchased the game from Don. So Don
Okay.
Don sold it to uh, TSR. TSR then reworked it, and as Don said to me, because once somebody buys your creation and the IP to it and the trademark to it, it's theirs now to do as they wish,
Yeah.
and what they did. So that's when you got the Tenkarian Gibberer card that Justin did, and because he loves me so much. Um, but there's also like a card that's based on Larry Elmore, which has grammatical mistakes. Everything we've seen so far has grammatical mistakes.
Hey, I remember one game system where they came up with a magic item, a collapsible 10-foot pole, and they attributed it to you. Can't
Oh,
remember. It's some frog gods thing. I think
well, there was a 9 foot pole and
9-foot pole.
9 foot pole, and it wasn't a frog god. You know what? It could have been Barrow Maze. I'm not even sure. I'd have to double check.
Probably. It was a
You
nine
know,
foot pole for people you wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole.
yeah, pretty much. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, but that was done with my knowledge. It was kind of cool. I
Hey, you know
personally think
what?
what?
Oh no, go ahead. I want to hear your
No,
personal thoughts.
no. I personally think the Tenkarian Gibber is awesome because it means that I rent space for free in Justin's head, and I don't know how many people can say that. It's like, oh, yeah,
Yeah,
obviously,
I think Thaco the Clown is cool. So, you know.
yeah. I don't know. Listen, is it is it cool enough that you'd actually include it in a post adventure? I would have. Yeah, it's cool. Maybe you do it as like a
It's a
I don't
moot
know
point.
a
Yeah.
blog
Or it's
post
an
on
interesting point,
on the Wizards of the Coast site, but I wouldn't put it into a published adventure. I could put into a published game where every time Justin plays this, he's going to have to think of Tenkar, and you can't buy that influence. You can't. Yeah, it's just something.
By the way, Bad Mike's in here.
Bad? Oh, geez, I haven't got.
Tell him to get his butt in here.
So I'm trying to. No, that's not him. That's I was like, oh, there's a third window on the bottom. No, that's the screen share. He's probably at home. He's probably not at the
Oh well.
Bad Mike is fun. Bill Webb has a book with like 200 pages of random tables. Listen, there's a lot of great stuff. Bill Webb's book of dirty tricks, the deck of dirty tricks, is awesome.
I got that.
Yeah.
I gave Gage the book of dirty tricks, but I kept the deck of dirty tricks. Actually, I kept the book of dirty tricks away from him too when he first started DMing, because I didn't want him to use it on me.
Tome of Adventure Design is actually Toad. So we call it Toad. In the industry, we call it Toad. There is a redesign to Toad coming up. I believe that Matt's going to be expanding upon it.
What?
He's publishing it himself, but he's going to be putting out an expansion to it. So it's going to be
the same. Like Toolbox and Deluxe or Ultimate Toolbox?
It's going to be what you already have, and then more added to what you have.
That's what I mean. Which means I'll have to rebuy. Means you'll have to rebuy it.
Yep. Doc Ross, note for that random game, I'll be generating everything from genre to character gen to dice used, using Rory's story cubes, a tarot deck, random drawings, and whatever dice pour out of my bag first. Wow. Well, that should be interesting. And also a fine single malt scotch. You have to add that for the creativity. I understand that.
Well, he does agree. Rory's story cubes. That's interesting. What was I? Totally. One thing from Toon I took and put in D&D. They had a table of random things falling out of the sky. I would use that on occasion in my D&D games.
Okay.
That was one of my favorite tables. Oh, you just get hit by an anvil. Where did it come from? Out of the sky.
God, actually, I had a thought, and Shadzar, your comment just shook my thoughts. They tried to steal Fantasy Grounds dice images. I'm assuming you meant there. And Fantasy Ground wound up buying Tabletop Connect that was working on the 4E VTT. Well, the 4E VTT stole the graphics for their demo from Fantasy Grounds for the dice rolling. And that was infamous. And remember, the 4E VTT was supposed to be microtransactions. Oh, you want 4 orc minis for your game? 25 cents a piece. But it's the same fucking... No, they're virtual, but they're different. And that was the game plan as I understood it. So
it's just, I wouldn't do it because it's just my version of Gage and Gavin asking, can you buy me some Robux?
More 5th edition, Grandpa. Please. Oh, thank you. Thank you for returning my watch to me fully charged, Riches. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm excited now.
I know I think that's why I never got hooked into like MUDs or VTT, that kind of thing, because it's not VTTs, but like when I say MUDs, you know what I'm talking about.
Multi-user dungeons or whatever they call it. You have the MUDs, which are mostly text-based. And I remember before I was a cop, so we're going back well over 25 years, when I was working in Stern's department store here in New York. Right. I remember people that worked for me that were still college. I was in my mid-upper 20s, and they were playing MUDs back then. And I was like, oh man, I would love to play in a mud, but I couldn't figure that crap out, and I didn't have the time to figure it out. I was
Well,
still
I mean,
trying to.
I never got hooked onto things like Warcraft or anything because I just, the games with the microtransactions, yeah, I'm paying you money, but I want something to hold in my hand. You know what I'm saying? If I'm going to pay you money.
Right. You're right. No, and that, and I don't mind. Here's the thing: if you're telling me we're going to give you the best VTT ever, and the subscription price is $5 a month, I'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, that's fine. I'm happy to play it and pay it if it's the best
Mm-hmm.
VTT ever. And if they gave me a VTT that I could play BX, 1E, 2E, I'd be happy. I could play any of the OSR games that way using it.
True.
But if it was like,
True.
oh, you can only play 5E, well, then you can go pound sand. Now, I don't think it's going to affect them one way or the other because they're not going to cater to us. We are not that big of a market, but you never know. They want to they want to do now, I suspect, what Gary wanted to do back in the early days. They want to not just be the major player, they want to be the only player. And I am sure the current rulers at Wizards of the Coast greatly regret the having let the
You know,
OGL out of the bag back in the day.
do they really? If they were so regretful, why did they make a 5e OGL?
Well, here's the thing: they made I can pretty much tell you what it did. 4E had the game system license, right? The GSL, and the GSL, the industry did what with the GSL? They gave two fingers to it and said, "We're not supporting this." Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then they were like, 5E. Remember 5E for the first, I don't know how long it was, months, years. There was no OGL. Okay, so Wizards of the Coast controlled it, and they didn't put out an OGL. And then when they put out the OGL, there was a huge, like, oh my God, yes, we have an OGL for 5E. And that allowed third party publishers to come
I
into the
know
game.
that's what OGLs are for.
Right. But here is part of the issue. The OGL, as initially envisioned, but obviously it's been taken beyond that, wasn't envisioned for creators to create their own game based upon the OGL. It was to create support material for third edition,
Yeah.
for fifth edition.
Well, yeah,
But
yeah.
people,
They didn't.
people
They didn't expect to. They didn't expect people to reverse engineer it.
right. They didn't expect people like Matt Finch to go, hey, I think that we can use this to reimagine
First
White Box,
edition.
a zero edition D&D. And
I'm thinking of Osric.
right, well, and we well, actually, what
I know
was it?
it
I know,
predates the
you're
other.
right. You're right. Osric was the first. For 1E, and Wizards of the Coast sent like basically I don't know if it was quite a cease and desist, but it was a letter saying you
The
can't do this.
story I heard. I heard was they said that was really nice. Can we take a look at it? And they said, and Matt and Stuart said no, and they never bothered them again. That's the story
Right.
I got from Matt.
No, I heard it was a little bit more firm than that. Like they wanted to
Oh,
give.
really?
Yeah, it's not. Wasn't can we take a look at it? Is that this would kind of need our approval? And once you give any company that power, you've kind of inferred that you don't have the
You
authority to
screwed
publish it.
yourself.
Yeah, so they did a great job by
Yeah.
not falling into that.
They,
So
they weren't. They're not dumb. Yeah.
no, no. Matt
I
Milliman.
would have done out.
Yeah. With respect to Giant Lands, I think the idea of playing spirits in a shamanistic setting has appeal, but I wouldn't have made it a gamma world, and that's part of the issue. And I do remember part of the spiel was it's the first like apocalyptic fantasy game. No, that first one was Rifts, right? Or one of the earlier ones, one of the most popular ones, was Rifts. You could go so far as to say Gamma World was the first fantasy apocalyptic sci-fi game.
I do.
So, especially if you play if you played Gamma World's spiritual successor, Mutant Future, it definitely has the feel of a fantastical apocalyptic
Oh
sci-fi
yeah.
game.
Oh yeah. In spades, man. Big time. Mutant
Right?
Future, marrying Gamma World with BX was brilliant on Dan's part, or I should say Goblinoid's part,
Yeah.
because it made the game so much easier to run. I mean, not that Gamma World was hard to run, but if somebody like me who knows basic first and second edition in his sleep, it's even better. So yeah, they did a smart thing with that.
So I mean, I think if they could go back, Wizards of the Coast could go back in time. Uh, if the current administration or the current leadership could go back in time and rewrite the OGL, they would have limited it to support material, not derivative works. All right, because now we have like derivative works and derivative works. You have,
Yeah, but then the courts said you can't copyright mechanics
but that's see
or
that's
tables.
no, you can't copyright mechanics, which is totally true. So game rules are not copyrightable, but you can copyright the presentation and the tables. So what the
You can
OGL
copyright
is,
tables.
you can
Hmm.
copyright the tables because the math is can be unique. That's the reason why if you look at a lot of the initial OSR
Okay.
games, they change the math by adding 1 point here. It's like, well, why does a fighter need 2003 uh, experience points to reach second level? Oh, because they're trying to make the math
Yeah.
different. Here's the thing with the OGL. The OGL is a safe harbor. If you are
It is.
somebody who is not well versed on copyright law, the OGL allows you to write material using the open game license and the SRD and material derived therein. And as long as you
Mhm.
follow the OGL, you're in a safe harbor. You're not going to get sued. You're not going to get in trouble and have at it. But if you're somebody like Kevin Crawford does OSR style games that are D20 based, playing close enough to D&D that a D&D player will sit at the table with Stars Without Number or the various other games that Kevin has put out, and you'll feel at home with the system. Kevin has reworked it. He's added stuff to it. There's no OGL. This isn't open game license material. This is Kevin saying, I don't want to be beholden to the OGL. Which
Exactly.
he's been very successful with it.
Oh yeah.
It's certainly I mean, but would I, as a creator or a publisher, not knowing copyright law because Kevin had to rewrite everything? You don't. And once you've done that initial rewrite, by the way, he can now go and say, "Well, all right, Stars Without Number. Now I can do Worlds Without Number. I've written my own system. I can borrow my own text because I own it." He's not borrowing
That's
the
why.
presentation from Wizards of the Coast.
Right. That's why they have Dungeon World, because they wrote Powered by the Apocalypse first.
Right. John Miller, will Frog God be publishing the new Toad? I love the Tome of Adventure design. Matt Finch's Mythmere Games, I believe, will be publishing Toad. When I get more
Oh,
information
the
on it,
Oxford people.
I'll make sure to share it. Well, no, Mythmere Games is Matt's own company. That's what
Right.
he prior. That's how he published Swords and Wizardry prior, before he became part of Frog God. So uh,
Mhm.
it's basically been
That's why we have.
resurrected.
Oh yeah. That's why we have White Box Mythmere Games.
Mm-hmm. So, Mike, you felt dirty after making a scaly and tabletop LARP with it, and you know what, Chad's right. There's a point to be made there. there is a similarity to LARPing, but usually, from my understanding, a LARP would have simpler rules so you can play it out in the open without having to refer to rule books constantly. And this is not a system that allows that. But if you want to sit at a table in costume and mask, have at it. There's not
It's
enough
up to
whiskey.
you.
Yeah, like Mike said just now. There's well, not just now, but a few minutes ago. There's not enough whiskey, and that is correct, man. There's not enough whiskey.
I really wish we could get Doc Cross out to the North Texas some year so the three of us can just go in the bar and, drink and BS.
I'm happy to. I don't turn down.
I know. Well, he doesn't have the wherewithal. He's in California, so.
Oh, he's a Californian. All right.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing. I'm a New Yorker.
All
People
right.
make fun of New Yorkers. Heck, even ex-New Yorkers make fun of New Yorkers.
That's true.
And I understand it. But what can I tell you? I have survived. I can't believe I still haven't caught up to the. You people chat a lot. You're chatterboxes. MMOs or YA places.
We could just leave. Let's just leave the live cast and just let them chat. It'd be another night of Discord.
Converse among yourselves. We'll catch up. The Elder Scrolls games were a lot of fun. My problem with the Elder Scrolls game, I think Morrowind was guilty of this, is that it kind of adjusted the levels of your foes as you leveled up. So you never ever felt like, I can just walk through this area and kill what I need to kill. And there's another area I have to get my XP up so I can be powerful enough to deal with it. It was always auto balancing, and I don't like that. It's like a campaign being auto balance. I don't think I could do it. Chances are,
Evercrack.
I tried going back to EverQuest. Mid last year. Oh no, end of 2020. So a year and a half. I went back. I was playing some EverQuest on my laptop, and I was doing a lot of soloing, and I realized I was wasting a lot of time that could be more productive. So I'm not saying that this is actually more productive, but yes. Kevin Smith. Keep in mind that the 5e SRD only covers a fraction of Wizards of the Coast rules, unlike the 3X SRDs, which had at least all the core rules. And that's part of what happens with that is that people hack together from 3E and 5E to make their own. So they're drawing upon both OGLs. And the secret with the OGL is you're always going to try to use the one that's least restrictive, right? You're going to, generally speaking, what do people use from 5e? They might use the short rest, the long rest, and advantage, disadvantage. Which I've seen sneak into some
descending armor class and all that. That's 3e2 though.
Right, but from 5e, the new stuff that we recognize as 5e. I've seen advantage and disadvantage. Heck, Rob's RPG. Was it oh God, Rob? I'm sorry. It's based off of Swords and Wizardry. Fantastic. I couldn't remember what it's called. I'll Rob can beat me up on Monday, but he uses advantage and disadvantage, and it's a good mechanic. I can't fault the mechanic. It's something we probably should have thought of 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. So, but here, Matt, here's a problem with the DMs Guild. For those that don't know, if you publish something to the DMs Guild, you can't pull it out. So if you have a product and you're going to say, "Oh, this would be great for DMs Guild," and I'll also sell it as a Swords and Wizardry module, and I'll also sell it as a Savage Worlds adventure. You put into the DMs Guild, it's stuck in the DMs Guild.
So they don't pull out, huh?
Yeah, they don't pull out. You're stuck. So, and I learned that from none other than Rob Conley. Those.
Wonder if they spit or swallow. Do they spit or swallow? No, never mind.
Well,
Does Watson spit or swallow? Yeah.
It's drive-through RPG, so I suspect they do neither. But in any case,
Yeah.
So that's an interesting thing about the what is it, what do they call them, the community stores or the community, supposedly Zweihander is OSR community content, and you can, no, it's not. Zweihander is not OSR. It might
Zweihander's
be.
its own thing.
Zweihander is loosely based off of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay.
That's
If
right.
you want to call it a clone of that, you can. Is it old school then? You could say it's old school, but it's not OSR. OSR, in my opinion, is things that are derivative of D20 games. That's really it. So, can Call of Cthulhu be an old school game? Yes. Is it OSR? No. RuneQuest? No. But they're old school. Don't get me wrong. But it faked me out. It stopped scrolling there for a second. I was like, oh, we must have gotten up there. Yes. Morris over in Emerald did create Level Up. Haven't looked at it. But he's been proven to know how to publish games, so I got to give him more credit.
By the way, Doc seems to be disparaging me because I'm from Southern California. Well, let me tell you something, sir. I've spent 12 to 15 years in Northern California, so I've got cred for both areas. I got friends, Northern and Southern. I still think they're my friends. Yeah, friends.
Anyway. Yeah, Chad Dar. The OGL is a weird creature too, because you can designate all your content to be OGL in your product, or you can designate almost everything in your product to be product identity. And if it's product identity, then stat blocks are basically all you're giving up to the OGL. Pretty much everything I do, I open up to the OGL. That's why there are clones of or derivatives of Thoughts of Wizardry Continual Light out there, including one where people thought it was the original. What?
Oh, and just Woodard told me something that Stephen Lucky, who owns the War House down in Long Beach, who's been there for 26, 30 years, he just passed away.
Oh, shit.
That's too bad. Yeah. Another good one gone. Sorry to hear that.
You know what?
I hope the War House stays there. That's about the only game store in Long Beach.
Game stores have been closing. Strategist is down to just 2 locations. One in King of Prussia Mall and one in Midtown Manhattan, because it's a hard business to stay in. Now, what reminds me, when I go back to the Complete, I'm going to have to go with a couple of bucks in my pocket, because I'm going to be going for some of the classic RuneQuest stuff that isn't available necessarily on the Chaosium site, which I suspect is still available over at the Complete.
So yeah, they're trying to figure out what to do next to the War House. They closed it for a while.
See, that's the problem, man. When something closes for a while, then it generally that's the first step.
I don't remember the Unicorn's Lair, Shadow. In fact, I remember, let's see, the Dragon's Lair, the War House, of course. That was about it. The most ones I remember are up in Northern California, like in Campbell. Remember the game table?
Yeah.
And of course, in Berkeley, they had Games of Berkeley, which was like the mecca of game stores for the Bay Area. That place was great. There was also a hobby and game store on the other side of San Jose that was huge too. A friend of mine used to work there.
Oh my God!
I'm reminiscing now.
There you go. I think I've reached the end of the backup in the chat. Well, maybe Maybe I said the rent is too damn high. Listen, that was a political party at one point in New York City. The rent is too damn
Oh,
high.
okay. Unicorns Lair is in Orange County. I never got into Orange County for gaming. Well, not at that time anyway. I had a 2E game at some guy's apartment in Laguna Beach at one time, but that's about it.
So now Mike makes a point. Successful game stores branch off from the comics, anime, manga. But here's the other thing: they
True.
do collectible card games. Collectible card games is where even a complete strategist, they advertise their Magic the Gathering afternoons on a Saturday or whatever, and
I used to take Gage to his Pokemon game at Game HQ every Saturday. So yeah, that's keeping him alive.
you know,
That's half their business right there.
yeah,
Over
I mean,
half.
because collectible card games, you have everybody who plays that and is into the organized play aspect wants to be there on a release night, release day, get the
Mhm.
new packs, and then try out the cards,
Right.
play the game. And what do people want to do? They want to buy the rare cards. They want to buy the ones that are going to help
Mhm.
their. So the aftermarket on that is huge. So
And he loved it because like we go to Game HQ and I got to use my credit card because I don't carry cash anymore, and they have a $10 minimum. So he knows he's going to get at least 3 packs out of me,
ah okay.
which I was
So,
happy to do when we had the money because I just like watching him play and him getting excited. I didn't play,
oh,
but it was fun to watch him.
as Mike says, the stores who failed don't branch out. Listen, when I was gaming out in Long Island, when we had our twice a month Thursday night games,
Uh-huh.
it was a lot of fun. But the store was not selling. We were playing 1A slash Osric. The store wasn't selling 1A slash Osric. It had 5E products, had a lot of collectible card games, had some, lower board games. So what we would do to support the use of the game room that we were using is that you would normally toss $5 into a pot or into the pile. And if there were 7 or 8 players, they were getting $40 for our use of it. And then everybody made a point of buying a soda and chips or whatever at the front.
Mhm.
Sometimes you'd buy dice. You needed dice, but everybody has an excuse to buy dice, right? Because you were trying to support the store. And
Yeah.
then it wound up having to move to a smaller location. And that's pretty much when the gaming group crashed, because the smaller location was these tables were on. You didn't have the ability to space out from other gamers. You were all on top of each other, and it was like playing at an overcrowded convention game setting, which is never fun. So
I had a lot of fun. Game HQ moved to a bigger space, and boy, did they get a nice game room. I mean, this thing they could run tournaments there. It was so big.
see, you know what I would love to see, and I don't know. I'd love a social club where it's for gamers. All right, so
Yeah.
you have a social club. Everybody pays their monthly dues. You got the location. You have I don't know, a keg on tap of Miller Lite, Coors Light, and I was like, "Oh, you pouring yourself a beer? Put $1 into the glass." So we basically pay for the next keg. I would love to see something like that, but I'm sure it would not.
They're coming. They're coming. I've seen a couple of places like that, gaming bars type of thing.
We had one in Brooklyn. I never went to it. My God, but it was all board games, which are not
Yeah, well,
bad.
the family game store started popping up here. We had 2 or 3 of them. I had one right near my house here, where they have all board games, but role players are welcome too. You can go there and play and stuff. But like at least 3 of them closed over COVID because they couldn't handle COVID. Nobody was
Listen,
coming to play.
how could they, right? I mean, you had things shut
Yeah.
down. for 4
We've
months.
got Edmond Unplugged, and that's about it. Downtown, Edmond Unplugged. That's it for
I
the
mean,
family game store.
let's call it what it is. The reason why VTTs have been thriving the last 2 years is because we pushed gamers to virtual tabletops. We pushed gamers out of stores to make their purchases online. Amazon is thriving, and they're also increasing the cost of Prime by what,
Are
$20?
they? Oh
Yeah,
boy.
yeah. Like, oh God. And so it's all about profitability, and I'm looking at my local pub, and I don't know if it's going to last a year at this point
Even
because
before COVID, that was a risky prop. Game stores were risky propositions even before COVID.
game stores, comic book stores.
Yeah.
Who's buying comic books? It's another industry that's dying. Gaming is not dying, and we're looking at companies like Trollord, Goodman, Frog God, that they can make a business off this, but
Mhm.
nobody's going to be a challenge to Woods of the Coast. The best you can hope to do is peel off some of those gamers that Wizards of the Coast and 5e bring in, and when they go, all right, I don't know if I want to play a Care Bear system. I know the offense people take at me calling 5e Care Bear, but maybe I want to play something
I think it's hilarious.
a little bit more risky or a little bit more challenging. They'll find the OSR, or they'll find RuneQuest, they'll find Call of Cthulhu, they'll find Warhammer. There's other
Mhm.
options out there. But even when I was gaming in, the early 80s, I came in around 1980. It doesn't matter what you were playing. I could be playing Traveler. What are you guys playing today? Well, we're playing Dungeons and Dragons. So you told your parents, right? We're playing Dungeons and Dragons. It never was, oh, we're playing Traveler. We're playing role-playing games. No, we're playing D&D night. We're playing Warhammer, but it's
Well,
D&D
yeah, but
night.
back in the day, you don't tell them you're going to play D&D, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, my parents were cool with it. My aunt, the nun, was not. But that's
Oh
that's
yeah,
a
I heard
whole
about
other
that.
story. Yeah, that's a whole other story. But
Some
I
of
mean,
Becky's sisters don't like the idea that Gage plays D&D along with me.
okay. Well, I mean,
I just told them we're going to have to agree to disagree on that. Thank you.
especially as the child is no longer a child.
True.
Effectively, he's got the
True.
age where he can making decisions for himself. My mother, when I was, she bought me my player's handbook and my DMG for my birthday, and a nice set of dice. Um, her idea was, my son. I was, I don't know, 12, 13 at the time. I'd rather have my son playing games that require reading and social interaction than have him getting into trouble. I mean, I was getting into trouble up in the Poconos because that's what you did as
That's
a
hard
kid.
to do.
Oh
Yeah.
no, I got shot at twice. I mean, getting in, we got into a good amount of trouble. But if it was D&D, she knew where we were. Oh, you're gonna be playing D&D at Chris's house or at Jerry's house or at our house. I know where to find you. That's
Mhm.
awesome. When so that was like, she didn't mind making iced tea and, I don't know, grilled cheese sandwiches for my friends, because it was a small price to pay to know that me and my friends were not getting into trouble. And that's it. I think gamers have gotten older. I mean, when we
Mhm.
played, almost everybody we knew was a gamer. Even when I was playing in college, I knew like kids in high school that was playing, coming into it. Now, people seem to be coming into it in their 20s. That might be that it's cost prohibitive now to come
I
into it.
came in. I told my whole teenage growing up. I totally missed it. I didn't get into D&D. I didn't get into role playing games until I was 22.
Okay.
and married.
Oh, well, God bless you. Yeah, I mean,
And
I,
my first wife got me into it. We kind of knew
well,
about it, but we never.
God bless her. Yes, Shadow. As long as we weren't doing drugs, it was all good. That was my mother's idea. And listen, was gaming was like a high, right? You got that adrenaline rush out of gaming. So we
Yep.
didn't, we used to have a rule even in our 20s when we would game. And the rule was if we are going to play a role playing game, if we're playing D&D or whatever, no alcohol at the table. If we were playing Chaos Marauders or Nuclear War or Risk or any of those games, yeah. Everybody buys a 6-pack. You can have fun. But
Right.
RPGs were serious business. You can't drink during your RPGs. RPGs require sobriety. Board games require you to get intox. So
Yeah, I like to play. I think I've played Robo Rally drunk before.
Doc,
Hell, I played Champions drunk before. That was an
well, that's a challenge.
experience.
I couldn't do that. There's too many D6s involved and too much adding.
Yeah,
I'd be like,
yeah, it was New Year's Eve. My hero got knocked out, and I got knocked out at the same time because I was sleeping.
Doc, Miller Lite, Coors Light might as well serve ice water. Um, you know what? I do love a good beer. However, my blood sugar does not. So if I'm gonna have beer,
Coors, huh?
yeah, well, it's what we got on tap at my local pub. Now
It
sometimes,
makes Smoking the Bandit pointless.
well, I know, but it's available everywhere now. I will occasionally ask them to put a splash of like a nice IPA, so maybe like a Brooklyn IPA or
Hmm.
Sam Adams or Goose Island, and get a splash in my Coors Light. That splash goes a long way. But I also I had one bartender. She couldn't do a splash. She would give me like half a glass of one mixed with the other, and
Wow.
my blood sugar tasted great. My blood sugar did not agree with it. So I got to watch that. I got to be good now. I want to be around for a couple of decades. I'm
Yep,
not looking to shorten my time here.
that's
Um,
right.
Wild Die. My parents gifted my brother and I Holmes Basic in '79. We played our first games. Like I said,
Wow,
I think I
cool.
was 13 when I got my player's handbook and my DMG. Didn't get I got the Fiend Folio before I got the Monster Manual. Who needs a Monster Manual? All the stats are on the back of the DMG. And why would you want 4 hit dice plus 1? That's only 5 hit points. I didn't know it was a D8 because it wasn't really explained.
I remember
And
those.
my players really shot through those first summer of gaming. It's like, this is easy. Like, oh shit.
Well,
Ogres are
one of the guy who writes Solo Heroes, you can get that on Drive-Thru, about how to run a game with just one player
uh-huh.
and keep them alive. One of the things he says was, "Well, just take the hit dice of the monster, and that's how many hit points they have."
There you go.
If you're playing with just one player.
Yeah. And it certainly makes it more heroic.
Yeah.
They'll knock through stuff. Yes, Champions was fun but complex. I had the box set back in the day, and we ran a few.
I still had the big blue book.
Yeah, Marvel Supers. I never owned
Oh,
it.
love Marvel. Love Marvel. Space Rip.
I can Zwicky. I can tell a Miller Lite on draft from a Bud Coors. But Bud and Coors are pretty close. But Miller has its own little twink to it. But
Anyway. Oh, by the
uh,
way, I'm going to be doing some artwork for. I'm going to be doing a commission for Mark Hunt
oh,
for a
nice.
new book for Gangbusters.
Well,
So
that's right up your alley. Damn it.
he wants to do NPCs for Gangbusters, so that may be coming out soon. I should have said, well, why don't you put the expert book out first? But hey, it's a commission, you know? He
Cool.
wants portraits, so I can do that.
Well, I believe that Greg Gillespie is working on a Munster book, so we're going to try to
Cool.
drag information out of Greg.
Okay.
Uh, your former roommate,
Yeah.
you lucky bastard, you. So
Yeah. Too bad he got locked. Too bad what last year he got locked in Canada because of COVID.
yeah,
He couldn't come. Yeah. It's like, well, time to get another roommate or two. I always end up paying the most for the rooms anyway because I bring Gage, so I got to pay his share. But
ah,
that's okay. That's okay. He loves it. I love it. He still hasn't forgiven me of that picture I took first con he went to. He was in the hotel with all his gaming stuff, and I put it up there and on Facebook and I titled it "Baby's First Dungeon." He hasn't forgiven me for that yet.
nice. I'm sure
He's like
I would.
16.
I wouldn't forgive you for it either if I was him. But that's besides the point. I think as a fellow adult and parent, I would be like that. Funny shit.
It is
But
funny. It's a dad joke, a granddad joke actually.
yes, dad jokes, granddad jokes, they all kind of fit into the same type of humor. It's done at the child's expense, and it's funny to us. But then the maternal instincts of the ladies that were all like, I can't believe you did that to him. The same people that will embarrass the hell out of the kid otherwise get upset when you embarrass the child.
It's worse with smartphones with cameras that record videos too now because the parents have even more blackmail material for when they start dating. Hey, you want to see what he was like at 5? Look at this.
Oh God, I used to hate that. When your parents would pull out the big, oh you bring your girlfriend home for the first time, and all of a sudden the old photo albums come out. Oh, here's Eric when he was 2. Look, that's him taking his first poop on his own. It's like,
Oh
oh, you'd have to show that one. Oh, but you look
yeah.
so cute and so freckle faced when you were younger. It's like, no, leave me alone. Uh,
Oh boy.
Greg will
Anyway,
be at Greg Gillespie will be at North Texas this year.
good, good.
We can make fun of the Dallas Cowboys then. And, I'm not. No,
I always want. I never did buck naked in a hot tub. I'd love to play a game like that. I'd love to play a D&D in a hot tub. I love hot tubs. Don't get them
well,
around here.
we were talking about doing an impromptu convention of renting a boat on Lake Wallenpaupack by my parents' place up in Hawley, and
Oh
have
Lord.
like Joe the lawyer and Joe the mom, myself, maybe 1 or 2 others from the area play D&D on the lake. But we were never able to get the.
Well, I still have a standing invitation from
You
Robin
cert
Irwin
you certainly do.
to go into this. I think it's the Smoky Mountains, where he has a gaming weekend every like year at Smoky Mountains with his buddy, and they sit in the middle of the forest and play D&D. Love to
There's
do
a
that.
there's a an RPG gamers camp, and like a nerd camp, and
Uh huh.
they were up in. I was paying attention because every year I was like, oh well, maybe I'll do it this year. And it's like I don't know if Rach wants to be around stuck at a campground for like 4 days with gamers. Gamer funk might get strong after a couple of days. I don't
Oh,
know.
the Austin group, the Dragoons.
No, it wasn't
One of the
Dragoons,
gals,
but if you
one of the gals, Randy. She's a travel agent,
right.
and she makes gaming cruises for the group every year.
Oh, really? See that could work, I guess. Hmm. I don't know. I don't know. I got last year I did one convention. I used to do 4 to 5. This year will probably be 2. It'll be North Texas and ShireCon, God willing, and then maybe we'll throw TotalCon back into the mix the following year. We shall see. Maybe Gamehole. We'll see. We're gonna have to see how the world of COVID progresses as this year goes on.
Oh yeah. Anyway, I think we ought to wrap up.
Okay, well, we can certainly do that. We've had a very chatty.
I got to get out to the post office before tomorrow. Becky's taking the card.
Okay.
Going to pick up my stepson. So.
Okay.
Oh, my night is not through. Damn it. Oh well.
Gosh darn it, folks! Huge thanks to our live audience, filmed in front of a live audience.
Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. Listen, we are still in the midst of the world of COVID. I'm vaxxed. Glen is vaxxed. Listen, we're all adults here. If you have not spoken to a medical professional, if you haven't gotten vaccinated, and you haven't spoken to a medical professional that knows your medical history, I advise that you do so. I'm not telling you what you need to do. Aside from, don't listen to a talking head. Talking heads don't know shit, man. Talk to a medical professional. Other than that, be safe, be well. God bless.
Hey, wait a minute.
What?
Listen to Radio Grognard and Thinko's Hammer. And Eric, did you do enough about COVID this time to satisfy people?
No, I didn't, man. I'm gonna start saying, you're not using your soapbox. Ooh. No, what happened to your soapbox? I use my soapbox as I see fit, and
that's right.
That's
a way to sign off.
You can sit and rotate on the whole fist.
Good night. Hey, let's sign off both together.
There you go. All right, folks. Thank you.
Double deuce.
But that doesn't apply to our live audience or the vast majority of our listeners. It applies to the people that don't listen but just comment. So there you go.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right, folks.